Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Such a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. We were excited and intrigued. We've never spoken to anybody that does what you do. I understand you are a photographer. Is that correct?
I am, yes.
Okay.
Have been for a decade, a decade plus.
Leave it vague, right?
Yes.
You don't want to nail an exact number to that. I get so upset when I say I've been doing something for 15, 20 years, and I go, wow, that puts me definitely over 20. So I know some people like to say...
The math just doesn't add up because I'm not that old. So
right, yeah, I just turned 21
exactly.
a couple days ago, of course.
Time stands still for me. Yeah.
I feel like that's the hardest question is when people are like, how old are you? And I'm just like, oh, I have to do math in my head now.
Yeah, this is the year I was born. Do math.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or ask my
Sometimes I
kids.
actually forget how old I am. Am I 47 or 48?
I had a guy at work, and he told me we're 6 months apart, and he told me that he was 37, and I said, no, you're not. You're 36 because I'm 35, and it was this whole thing. And he's like, oh yeah, I forgot. I'll ask my kids. My kids always remember how old I am for some reason.
I think it kind of depends on the day of the week. Sometimes I feel like 80, and sometimes I feel like 25.
Yes,
that's very fair. Yep, I feel like 85 more times than not. To be quite honest,
after a night of drinking, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
If I've been out on a photo shoot on a campaign outside, then I'm most definitely 80. Because I'm always I'm the type of photographer who's on the ground, you know.
Sure.
Oh, you're getting the good, interesting shots.
You're getting the shots,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. So I'm most definitely 80 after one of those.
So, Anja, do you want to walk us through kind of what got you into photography? Like, how did you get started?
Actually, it's a funny story because I have not always. First of all, I'm a major anti-techie. I cannot read a manual if my life depended on it. Truly, I have to read the same page 5 times, and I still don't understand anything of it. So. I was in an office for 20 plus something years in customer relations, customer service, all that. And then a friend of mine asked, he had an exhibition he was going to promote. So he asked, could you take a portrait of me? I'm like, no. And he's like, okay, why not? Because I have actually no previous experience with anything other than my little pocket camera and my dog. That was about my photography experience. But he made a point. He said, you know what, it's better that if you do it, then I do it with, my phone as a selfie, both quality wise, but also quality in the eyes of the beholder, really.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, let's go. But then I'm the boss of everything. He was very stereotypical, very bald, overly tattooed, very rough to look at, like the gangster type almost, right? So
sure.
I'm like, I don't want to go down that path because that's so obvious. So let's put you in a suit. Let's just roll up the sleeves of the shirt, take the jacket over the shoulder, and go somewhere where it's not concrete and rough, where it's more arches and nice architecture. So we did that in the old town of Copenhagen. And the only thing I had to work with was filters from Instagram, really. That was the time back then. That was what I had. So I just did that, and people really took it to heart and gave me some positive feedback. I actually thought it was fun being the boss, finding locations, and that kind of started something, a little spark within. And then I searched on Facebook for people who wanted to just let me take the portrait. And I found this guy who had an old Volkswagen, the old bubble.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a special shade of dusty blue, and he had to sell it. And at that time it was autumn. So the forest was yellow and orangey. So bring your car out to this archways with trees in orange and yellow, and then park in the middle. And we made some very cool stuff there. So that kind of just got things rolling for me. And then another photographer, he was about to, he had a client coming up, a client shoot with I don't know the English word for it. It's is like a soldier on a ship, not a marine per se, but the one who plays the trumpet. I don't know the function. Anyway, he was quitting his job and really wanted to have himself portrayed with his trumpet and his uniform in the area where all the battleships are in Copenhagen and all that. So he invited me along, and he said, you know what, you can just, take your camera and go on the side and do a little shooting on your own while I do the official shooting. And I did that. I actually unwrapped my camera on the spot. I'm like, okay, what does this button do? Okay, that kind of meddles with the light, and okay, so they interact. Oh, I knew nothing. I just point and click and trial and error.
I've heard with your from your experience of reading directions, right, or reading the manuals for it.
Yes, exactly. And he actually came over, took a look at my setting. He's like, what the beep are you doing with those settings? You're not going to get anything good with that. I'm like, I think it's pretty. What? It's fine. And then after he said, okay, you actually got some decent shots in, send them to me and I will send them collectively to the client and see what he chooses. And he has never forgotten that episode, and he has never done it again, because the client chose 8 photos and 5 of them were mine. So I did something, and that kind of inspired me to just evolve, just see, okay, what genre do I really like and what doesn't interest me really. And I quickly found out that something with a healthy portion of creativity, that's my playground, like beauty with all the cosmetics and the colors and the textures and light possibilities, or fashion, really for the same reason, but just with the wardrobe. That is the wardrobe, that's the star and the hero of the show, and just get that to really, really shine. So that's my favorite genres to do. But at that time, if you have told me, oh, you're a portrait photographer, I would have been offended, because I know I'm fashion and beauty. That was not, portraits for me was not too fancy. It was not fancy enough at the time. Now it's a whole different ballgame, because I actually found out that portraits is the hardest thing to shoot. You have so many people who have so many insecurities, and you need to portray them so they like what they see. That is a skill. I like that. Also to get them relaxed, to really, because when they're relaxed, magic just happens by itself, really.
It seems like you have to almost be a director for almost like a movie, setting the scene, the feeling, the mood, the facial features. And
you have to really disarm them within minutes so they relax. Because if they go in their head, you have lost them. They're like, oh, I need to stand like this with the arms. I have these and these. Oh, I can't do that. Get them out of the head. Just talk to. I'm very much as I am now. I'm with them in the studio, and we have music and coffee and we laugh. I really need to disarm them. And that is half the work of being a portrait photographer. So, and I also tell them, you know what? Your editing will be very natural. It's going to be as you would say, oh, I had a good day that day. My hair was perfect. My makeup was fine. But it's still a very natural edit, because people need to recognize you. So if you step in assembly somewhere, people say, oh, that's you. Oh, okay. No, we want people to recognize you.
You don't want too many of those Instagram-like filters.
Oh my God.
Start catfishing people.
And that is it makes me so sad that people really, you can't even see the definition of a cheek anymore. It's like blur, like marzipan. And I think that's so sad.
Yeah, it's sad. I always look at it and I go, if I see somebody's pictures, I'll say, I want to see pictures that they've been tagged in, that they haven't doctored up themselves, because I want to see what they really look like. And then if you try to compare yourself to those unrealistic standards, you're never going to be happy, or, you're not going to accept that. You're going to say, I wish that I looked like that.
It is a very, a dangerous place to be, because now the beauty standard has shifted so much. And I actually fell in so many times, like, oh, she's so gorgeous, and then I take a closer look, and then everything is made by a syringe, by operations, by it. Not many people age gracefully anymore, and that's a shame. I think it's a shame that people are changing themselves too much, and from a very young age as well.
I've been seeing a push. Well, I saw a couple posts, so I don't want to say like a total push, but I've noticed that people have been posting like, here is the shot that you see versus when I was actually, and it was like someone, I think she was running and
Yeah,
like super sweaty, and it was just like a legitimate like, hey, this is what it actually looked like, but this is what I have to post, and it was like beautiful, but this is also beautiful.
yeah,
So it's nice to see that there has been a little bit of a shift to see like the legitimate,
yeah.
organic, you know.
I think we have like a also with AI, let's just touch on that one. I think, yes, it's exciting, it's creative, it's fun right now, but I also think we will have that hilltop and then, okay, enough is enough. So right now it's fun because everyone can be a photographer or whatever. But I also think it will slow down again and then maybe just be a tool for your work. For example, if you make cups and plates, then I can take your product and introduce it to an AI, like a AI backdrop. But I think all the fake, the models and all that, that will slow down again.
It almost makes me think of like CGI climbed. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, so there was CGI used in the original movies and then in the prequels, but then it started to go over the top. Everything
Hmm.
was CGI, and people
Yeah.
didn't appreciate it anymore. I
No.
mean, because they were doing it just for the sake of doing something cool.
Yeah.
Then there was, I don't know, in the last decade or so, just hey, let's bring it all back to real life practical effects, and then doctor a little bit here and there, just like you're saying, use it as a
Yes.
tool to refine something that's already been kind of made
Exactly.
for a movie.
Yeah, I think it's a good tool. I think that it is. I think it was Gary Vee mentioned using it for like his business is he'll kind of take what they're doing and try to use it as a way to kind of help with the growth, but not as the all. Essentially, like, hey, how can if I take this red wine or whatever, how can you elevate my sales using this? So I think using it
Yeah.
as a tool, but some people are just like 100% dependent on it. I saw now Instagram has like you can create like an AI avatar and you can
Oh.
create a whole like AI based page, and that's just wild to
Oh.
me. So yeah, like it's like hey, I want to talk about like I do video game stuff or whatever, and it'll create like an AI avatar for you in a page, and I think it tells people that it's AI, but like that's wild to me.
Yeah.
And that doesn't seem, I mean, it's 100% like not authentic in a way
No.
because it's not who the individual really is. But I think
It's
using it as a tool
it
is cool.
it's so
Yeah.
much the low hanging fruit too. Like if I could spend hours and hours and hours on something and make something nice, that sounds fine. But then if I could just spend 4 minutes and make something probably better than what I was going to make on my own, yeah, that's. I don't know why I would pick the more difficult, maybe not as good option.
But I think it will come to the point, for example, I hope it will come to the point where people say, okay, this is AI. It's not well, thought of. It's not that great. That people know it's AI. Some can be a little bit embarrassed. That's okay. I made it by ChatGPT or
Hmm.
whatever. But if I can get this perfect image of whatever it may be, fashion campaign in AI, but Anya, she can do it in real life. She can do the real thing similar to that. I think I'm gonna pay for the craft because then I have no trouble. People won't look at me funny. Everything will be made, from the craft of photography.
Well,
So
and
I hope it will come to that.
Me
I
Back
too.
to
think
that.
I
Yeah.
think too, like with using AI, it's still nice to have. I know a lot of people hate the human interaction, but we were, for example, like messing around with like let's try to make a new logo through
Yeah.
ChatGPT, and we were like, hey, take our logo and do this and add that, and I mean, we were doing that for like 7, 8 hours. Well, if we would have just worked with a graphic designer, we could have been like, hey, this is exactly what we're looking for.
Yeah.
And, you know, they would have been like, oh, okay, cool. I'll get it and get it back to you. And then like, I literally, like, we sat there for hours trying to
Yeah.
get it perfect. And, you know,
Render
it's,
new image with forwards hat and backwards hat
Yeah.
and
and like little commands like that, it just couldn't get right. So we 100% tried it just to see. And it wasn't like ever something we were gonna like actually use, but we were just messing around one day. But
Yeah.
we spent hours on that. So I think having that interaction, I hopefully people still see the value in that.
For example, I used ChatGPT as a tool. I've been here in Spain for a month now. I have a flat here. I am based in Copenhagen, and I also am based in Malaga. Almost this year has been 50-50, but usually it's like more 70-30. Anyway, I had a lot of shoots planned, but you know, then stuff changes, get shifted and canceled and moved around. So all of a sudden I was like, huh, then what? Now I'm here, so what shall I do? Oh, let me write an ebook, an idea I had. Why don't I just do that? You don't just write an ebook. But what I meant to say is that I use ChatGPT. I write my text. I put it into ChatGPT to help me because it's in English, and English is not my first language. It is my second. So that really helps me to get, you know, the wording right, or maybe change this word to this word, and also in the phrases for photography. I know the Danish phrases, but I'm not sure always about the English ones. So that really helps me in that direction, and that for me is, I will be honest about that any day of the week, because that's no problem for me to admit that.
sure. I think it's no different than using a real life person editor, except
Exactly.
it's on your own terms. So you still have, you could almost say that you still have complete creative control of it.
Yeah. Because I still just take what I want from it, and I also still go in and I proofread everything of it, and then change it to be what I want, and maybe shift something, change something. But I use it as a tool, and that is so helpful. Like, I would never have written an ebook if it wasn't for those really helpful tools. Also Canva, for example, for the graphical stuff. I love that.
Canva's
Hands
amazing.
down. Yeah, the hands down, that's amazing.
We
So I'm soon releasing my ebook. It's getting proofread by people now. So
That's exciting.
Yeah.
And that, I think ChatGPT or any sort of like AI, you know, so is great for stuff like that. Like I've used it for emails when I'm reaching out to people to come on the show, because I knew it could, like, hey, here's kind of what I have in my head. This is my idea. Help me put it to paper,
yeah,
essentially. And you know, it's been great for stuff like that. And then it also helps us save time, so that way we can then focus on, you know, getting other things right, or working on this or doing that. I'm 100%. You know, I've even used it to help me write a performance review before at
For work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I use it for work all the
but
time.
also, how much do you know about photography? So that also could help you. What should I ask a photographer when I know nothing about photography?
And those
Right.
questions I sent you may or may not have been generated by
Some form of AI.
but maybe. So you mentioned you were in Spain.
Yeah.
So can you kind of tell us about that journey and you know, why you're
Yeah.
there?
Actually, I fell in love with Spain when I have one of my best friends move here. Although he lives in Mallorca, and Mallorca is an island, which is kind of quickly seen. You kind of can go through that in a couple of days. So I'm like, if I wanted a flat, would it be in an island? And no, me and my husband, we talked it over. It was like, plus it's like a plus, 50% increase of prices on living there everywhere. So everything. So we really wanted like a vacation place, but then because we liked the idea of just taking the computer, booking a plane ticket and just go, right? Having everything here, no need for a suitcase. But then I was like, okay, but in Denmark it's quite rainy. The weather is very unstable always. The Danish summer until now has been 1.5 months with rain every day, almost every day. I can never predict a outdoor campaign. At least 50% of the time you have to cancel or postpone. That's it. So I'm like, what if I did that here in Spain? What if I take the client's stuff with me and then just shoot it with models here? Because now I have a good network of, I work together with a modeling agency and have some models outside an agency and makeup artists. So I have a good network, and I know my areas around the coastline here. So I know, locations. So I can really present them with high-end photos, blue skies and sunshine, because sunshine bounced back from a reflector just give fabric and makeup and skin that exclusive glow.
Mm.
And
I've heard also that I've also heard that overcast is nice to shoot in as well. As far as lighting goes, you have more customization, more control.
If you want that soft light, yes, but I do the dangerous stuff. I do the things that everyone else fear, because the worst fear of photography is a harsh midday sun that will give you the shadowy panda eyes and the very dark shadows. I'm embracing that with my sun bouncer. Like, bring it, because I love what I can create with it. Yeah. So if you take a look at my Instagram, you also see that is the main thing on my feed is the harsh sun.
Yeah, I'm actually
going through. I love an overcast day, but I really love shaping the light with.
Sure. Well, good to do something that maybe not everybody else is doing as well. Set you apart.
Yeah, it's hard for I don't envy the model, because that bouncer, once it hits your eyes, it is blinding. So they have to be tough cookies.
I can only imagine. I have real sensitive eyes. I've been to the eye doctor like twice in my entire life, and my wife yells at me all the time for it. But when I was little, and this has been forever, the eye doctor put light in my eyes, and he says, "All right, open your eyes up," and I couldn't. I was just so sensitive, and it probably scarred. I don't want to say traumatized. I'm okay, but like I don't want to go back to the eye doctor now. It's almost like people are scared to go to the dentist. I'm almost scared to go to the eye doctor. But same thing when people say, "All right, everybody smile for the picture," I'm just like, that's the spot that puts me right there. I can't really open my eyes up.
Then you should come to me, and I will promise you a good portrait.
Yeah. I'd love to get out.
Imagine that with the strength of the sun on a sun bouncer. That will just kill you right off.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'll be wearing sunglasses.
Yes.
Well, Anja, I'm looking through your Instagram right now, and these pictures are incredible. But there's specifically one, and I don't know if it says "Let's play in the sun," and there's like a little light beam almost coming down on the model's face. Is that
how long back are you?
Well, I'm sorry.
How long back in time are you?
13 weeks. It says a series where I used the early morning sun in Spain as backlight for a cool effect, and the lighting in this is just that's it. Yes, yeah.
Okay. Yes.
That's incredible. The way that the lighting in general is just, and is is that all just kind of, yeah.
I put her with usually I have the sun in my back and she has the sun in her face. That's the normal way to go. And then I bounce the shadows. Here we did the vice versa thing where I put her back to the sun. So the sun is coming through her hair. And then I bounce the light back to her face. So she's not, because usually she will be black, completely blocked out because she has the sun in her back. Mm-hmm. So I will just bounce the light back in her face. And that's what gives the effect. That's the sun rays through her hair and on her face.
Wow. It looks like Michael Bay has a lot of the lens flare in his movies. You ever see that's what that reminds me of, the little light shining through. Which is probably all CGI.
I could make his bank account the same thing. I can have his salary. I'm game.
You just need to start throwing in a lot of explosions, and that's it.
We've already said you're like a director.
Yeah, you're like a director.
You're setting the scene. You've got the lens flare. Are you familiar with Transformers?
That's it. CGI.
Let's do it.
So are you currently shooting campaigns in Spain right now?
Yes and no, because as I told you, things got canceled last minute. So right now I'm just I'm writing the ebook. I'm planning my next boot camp it's coming in October, where I teach other photographers here in Spain. I actually rent an Airbnb to house all of us, so we live together, and people can decide themselves if they want like a solo room or a shared room. It's completely up to them. And then I teach them in the mornings, and I have photo shoot plans every afternoon. And then of course there's time off as well, so they can enjoy Spain. It is Spain. So that is a magical week. Oh my God, to see the sense of community that comes within instantly, actually. The sense of community, everyone helps each other, to see people's self-esteem grow when because I'm just nudging them. I'm on their side, so they can ask me anything, and I will be their wing woman every step of the way if they need me to, and I will teach them what they need to know to make the same images. I actually also teach the ones you just spoke about from Instagram.
That sounds like an experience. So you said it's a whole week long.
It's 8 days, and it's amazing. So I have like one full day off where they can go and do what they want. Some they go sightseeing, some they just stay by the pool and just have a nice time and a glass of sangria. But also some will go out and find a model on their own and just practice what they've just learned throughout the week. So it's a great week. And just to see the self-esteem grow with them when they see what they're capable of, just with a little nudge from me. And then once the self-esteem grows, they dare to do more. They dare to dream big. They dare to, take chances. And that really shows in the photography instantly, really. That is magical for me as the teacher, to stand back. It's like, I knew that. I knew what was going to happen. You just have to see it for yourself.
I feel that's something that you can't. Sure, you can go on like YouTube and like get, learn 5 photography tips in, a minute or less. But like that experience, you're not going to be able to duplicate or replicate online at all.
To pat my own back, and I know in America you're allowed to do that. In Denmark, you're not. We have something called jantelov. Have you heard of that?
We have not. Do explain.
Okay. Jantelov is an unwritten rule everywhere in Denmark where you don't think you are anything better than your next person. You can't speak proudly of yourself or be proud of what you achieved, or just tone it down a notch, okay? Mm-hmm.
Stay humble.
Stay humble. Don't think you're anything more than your neighbor, ever. So, what I loved about I've been to LA a couple of times, New York and whatever. You can say, okay, I did this. This is freaking awesome. I did good here. You're allowed to do that. And that's what I love. Yeah. That's what I love about the States. There's many dislikes about the States, though, but that is most definitely a pro.
If there's one thing Americans are good for, we will definitely pat ourselves on the back and
make
say,
ourselves
yeah,
feel
right
good.
on. This was all us. This is all me.
Yeah, I like a nice healthy balance. I'm sure that a lot of people do, but I don't know if I could never give myself the props. I don't think I could ever say, "Hey, good. I feel like I did a good job." That would be tough. But
now, are other people though allowed to give you props? Like, are they?
You really have to impress people before they do. Danish people, we are like officially the happiest people on the planet. That's the official Danish thing. I don't know why, but we're also very private, and we're also very hard to impress. But I would say, let me get back to why I would like to pat myself on the back. On my boot camp, it has a price tag, which of course is reasonable due to it's a full week. But I have had 4 students coming back more than one time. So they wanted around 2, and I even had one person coming 3 times. So, and that is not because they're dense, I might add. That is just because they really love being a part of this universe and a part of this group. So that is, I must be doing something right.
If nothing else, it's got to be great for networking and meeting other people that do the same thing.
It's great.
I follow someone, and I wish I remember the name of the channel. They're probably on TikTok, but they'll just go up to people. I think they're in New York City. They'll go up to people on the streets and say, "Hey, excuse me,
Yeah.
you look incredible. Do you mind if I take your picture?" And they'll
Yeah.
do like kind of like a professional shoot. They say for free. I'll send you the pictures or whatever. Is that like you said that the people in your boot camp will sometimes go out and find their own models? Have they ever done anything like that? Just walk up to a random person?
Yes and no. They have not themselves, but I did it to show them that you can. And I did not prepare them for it because this was actually very random. We were waiting for this was on my this was on my first boot camp ever actually. We were waiting in a parking lot by a gas station for a Uber driver to come and pick us up and go to Malaga City. And there was like this cafe. There was a lot of bikers coming in, and all of a sudden I see this very cool guy. He had like a little ponytail slick back, sitting with his coffee, smoking his cigarette. He was very. Imagine if Pierce Brosnan and Brad Pitt has a love child, which is 45 years old.
Oh, that's a cool person.
That's
That's
really
cool.
cool.
That's a cool person right there.
I just saw him and I was like, do we have time? Okay, we have time. And I just stood up, took my camera, went over, said, hey, you look very cool. Can I take your portrait? And of course I will share it with you. And he was like, yeah. And they were like, what the F is she doing? She's just getting up and going to a random stranger. And then actually he was a model. Who knew?
From your description, I almost imagined he was.
Yeah.
So that, I think, got them excited about that. And then I just told them, you don't have to go up to people on the street. You can also plan a little bit ahead and find people on Instagram. If you search for hashtags, maybe model Malaga, Malaga model, whatever, you'll find plenty of people who will, show up for a free shoot just to do the collaboration. And then they get the photos, you do too, and you get the experience, both of you. So go. And that's the same way you find makeup artists. Use the hashtags on Instagram. Find people who would like to collaborate. Because everyone has been new at some point. Also makeup artists. So why not lift each other up and create something together?
If we've learned anything, it's that everybody loves a team up.
Yes,
Good
exactly.
collab.
That brings me back to your question about if I shoot campaigns while I'm here right now. I'm not shooting a campaign, but on Thursday I have a creative shoot myself because photography is a muscle that you need to exercise. And I need to, exercise my photography. I also need to exercise my creativity and just the whole process, also with the planning, executing, and the post. So I have actually a model shoot on Thursday with a horse, also a model. Not the horse is not the solo model. There's also a model there.
Oh, I thought you were saying that the horse is also a model.
The horse
a
is
model
the model.
horse. A little difficult to direct, right?
Oh, there's a saying that never shoot with kids or animals.
Sure.
Wow.
Yeah,
Let's see.
unpredictable.
I would like to do that. Like, imagine that Zendaya frequency campaign feeling where it's like very fashionable with a big skirt and the sun and leaning in on the horse, and that's the vibe I'm going for.
So, if you don't mind me asking, what does your equipment setup and how has that evolved over the years? I'm assuming you have a bunch of things now that you have to use for a shoot.
It depends if I'm inside or outside. If I'm in the studio, oh my God, I can't even name the list. I have so much stuff because I'm also very creative, so I also like to evolve in the creative direction. So I have optical snoots and spots and you name it. I got everything, backdrops, so many different modifiers for the lamps. If I'm shooting outside, usually it's actually just my camera and the sun bouncer. And in studio, if I shoot a portrait, it's actually a one lamp wonder. I am rarely seen putting up more than one lamp because for me, I don't want to intimidate people too much. And I also get that the best light is actually just one lamp. It's just one lamp coming a little bit from above and then my reflector underneath and then somewhere in between that.
So if you don't mind me asking, what about like how do you feel about the cameras on smartphones? Eric and I, we were using the iPhone to record video for the longest time, and the quality. I mean, for us, like obviously we're not photographers, but it's decent enough. Like it looked pretty good. So like, how do you feel about the evolution of the smartphone and the cameras on them? Like, is that something that you ever use, or is that like is there value in those devices?
There are several like sides to that because people always ask me, "Oh, now that the cameras have evolved to be so good, aren't you afraid of your trade?" I'm like, no. I'm happy that you can take good photos, but because you have like industrial kitchen doesn't mean you're Gordon Ramsay. Like, if you can't boil a potato or an egg, kind of doesn't matter on how fancy your kitchen is. So I'm not scared, but I love the quality. Actually, let me just fetch it. I am filming an online class on this.
Is
It's
that a
an
DJI?
yeah, that's an
Okay.
Osmo Pocket 3. And it really surprises me how good quality it is. I've also seen photographers use like one of my good colleagues, Tamara Williams. She's a beauty photographer. She usually does like pro camera, iPhone. Can you see the difference? She does the exact same thing, just with the different tools. Of course, you can see the difference. But I don't. I have seen fashion photography done with iPhones amazingly good because it depends on the person behind the camera,
Hmm.
the vision and the execution and also the post. You can do a lot in post, I would say.
I think the iPhones also use a bit of processing power behind when they take the photos, like for focus or setting where exactly the lens is focusing. But then you can change it later. So I'm not sure
Yeah.
how it does all that stuff, but I know that my uncle at one time he went through a phase where he was doing photography and he was even developing the pictures like in his basement. He had a little dark
Yeah.
room and everything, and he said, I know that you could effectively get like what the Instagram filters do with just like tints, but you could do
Yeah.
that with the way that you develop the photos. Have
Yeah.
you don't do you do any of that stuff yourself, or is there just tricks that you can use to make it look a different way?
I don't do a post myself because for me, as I don't know if we spoke about this, but I am 100% self-taught. I have not any education in photography. This is just me being stubborn and creative minded. So for me, Photoshop, it's like a galaxy. It is so big and it is so technical and it is so boring. I really do not like doing the editing. I did it in the beginning, obviously, because I had no one to help me. So I learned, but I don't do it well. It bores me. It's not interesting for me. So I would much rather create the photos and then have someone whose skill set is stellar to do that. Because my limits is if I'm bored, I don't do it well. I just do all the cheat stuff. I cheat everywhere I can to just get it done with. And I really want, for example, the skin. The skin is like a whole, a whole field for itself in editing. And to get it natural, but still nice, no, it's not for
Mm-hmm.
me.
Oh, that's fair.
So I would much rather, employ someone to do it than me doing it myself. And
I
then
think it
I can focus on creating.
is it safe to say that like, well, I guess some people do like it, but editing sucks. Like straight up, it sucks. But there are people that
Right.
like, yes, like I just want to spend hours and hours and hours. Like when I edit our episodes, like I obviously I have to do it, but I hate it. Like like editing just isn't fun to me.
Yeah.
I just want to do other things to kind of. So yes, I feel like yeah, editing just
It's a means to an end. It's something you have to do to get your product done. But also when I'm just now, I went out filming here a couple of days ago to do my first video class ever. I'm not cutting that myself. I tell you, no, 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 no. I would be bored within 15 seconds. And then I'm like, no. So I would much rather have someone doing it right than me doing it just because I have to. Nope. I don't like editing. But that's also the same thing with the photography. Some photographers, they they just breathe weddings. Me? Nope. Nope. No, sorry. No, thank you.
And
I
that's
would,
a big part of why we switched over to Riverside, because it's made the editing for us. I mean, it used to take me 30 to 40 hours to edit a 1 hour.
that's
And
work week. Like,
yeah, it was. And so like I was just cranky, miserable all the time. And I feel like finding, yeah, so like Riverside essentially is our the
Big
person
help.
that we've hired to
Yeah.
to do a lot of the editing for us, because yeah, it's just it made me a miserable
yeah,
person.
exactly. And if it's too much time to spend on something that you don't love, and
Mhm.
that's how I feel. So I will create it, and then the people who loves being on the computer doing all the nitty gritty, there you go.
Right.
It's your baby now.
Have at
I'm
it.
still a control freak though.
You can
Don't
still
get
come
me
back to
wrong.
him and say, I don't like the way that that looked.
I will I will tell them, okay, please don't, you can color grade a little bit, but please don't go crazy. And if you do it as a copy, so I still have the original colors, but I will circle in and describe on every photo what I need fixed. I will know with lines and circles and colors and push in here, remove fly hair here, all that. But I still like it to be, I'm not the typical beauty photographer, guys. I still like it to be as natural as humanly possible, but of course, polished. Because I don't like the ones where you see there's nothing in the eyes but perfectly white. It looks like doll's eyes. I don't like that. I like it to be perfect but natural as possible. So whenever I have like a new retoucher on board, I spend a lot of time teaching them my style. Because then they come back with a photo. I'm like, let's dial it back 50% or 30%. The skin is too perfect. The eyes are too perfect. You have, yes, I told you to remove fly hairs, but don't paint it off so it's like a hard edge, It still has to be some natural elements there. So, yeah, I'm very particular in that way.
Do you
And I
ever
also do never manipulate shapes on people. I can tell
good.
if, for example, your jacket is bulging somewhere, push that in, or if the angle does something to the proportions, then I'm fine. But if someone comes and say, "Oh, can you give me like bigger boobs, small waist, like a Kardashian figure?" Like,
It seems dishonest.
do you ever get like clients or individuals though that after they see the edit they're like, well, can you actually like do that for me? Or like I want, like they get upset that they don't have like the perfect, like my
no.
eyes don't look like, or like the individual knows like, hey, this is
Yes.
what we're going for.
Yes, because they've been to my website previous, and what they actually, I would say 95% of the time, the feedback I get from the stuff they see on my website before they book me is, I like your energy in your photos. I like how you portray it's that your photos are alive. It's not just a portrait. I feel the person in the photo, and that's what they crave. They don't crave the perfection. They also like to be natural. As they say, I need to be able to come inside a board meeting and people will still recognize me from my LinkedIn photo or whatever it may be. So I'm not being Pamela Anderson in the photo, and then Angela, what the politician, Angela, the German one. Do you remember her,
Mm.
Angela? I can't even
Vaguely.
remember the last name. Whatever, but you get the point. You get the point. So people like natural, but as I said before, they need to be on a good day. Oh, my hair really worked that day, or my makeup on point.
Mhm.
So also when they have booked a makeup artist it's optional, they can, because it's not included in my price, but they can book a makeup artist. And if they ask me, should I? Like, it's really up to you. The makeup artists know how to place the makeup and what products to use to make you shine. And also, once you've been in that chair, you just grew like 50 centimeters in the self-esteem. So
Huh.
it's a makeup artist. A makeup artist doesn't mean to put on the stripper lashes and to do the full glam. It just means they know how makeup act on camera and how to make you feel, full of self-esteem and pep in the step.
Yeah, it's going to make him more confident, like you said, which helps you. So that's helpful.
Exactly. Also, I
When
spend the time when they're in the chair. I spend the time with we get a cup of coffee and I sit and chat with them for the hour they get to be in the chair, and that is half work they have done. That's half the work because then they already feel like secure with me. They feel safe. They feel like comfortable. Then when I lift the camera, it takes 15 seconds when they're a little bit intimidated again because I'm doing this and then the lens is there. But then they see me behind the camera. It's like, oh, it's just Anja. We know each other already. So half the work is chatting up the client, just small talk, really, making them feel comfortable. And I do that anyway. That is just who I am. I'm a chatty person.
I can tell you too, like the way that the photographer makes you feel, I feel like it is huge. Like when my wife and I got married, the photographer, it was a husband and wife duo, and she was the meanest individual I think we've ever dealt with.
Oh my God,
And
no.
especially like I don't care as much, but like she came into like the room that I was obviously staying in, and she was like, "This is too dirty. You need to clean this shit up." And it's like, okay, cool, like I get it, like, but then like she said something to my wife, and it was I can't remember what she said, but it was mean. It was mean, and it made Jenna like uncomfortable, and it
Yeah.
was one of those things like, but we're paying you to kind of to take pictures
Yeah.
of our special day.
That is a big day to ruin just by being a
She was a
a-hole.
nasty individual, and it definitely to the point where it's like, well, if we ever use anyone, we won't use them again.
Yeah.
But I think if she was friendly and kind of willing to work with us, like it would have totally changed the atmosphere and the photos that we got.
Definitely. Definitely. And for me, there is so many ways to get a message across. If she really think that is too dirty or whatever, just say, okay, let's just tidy up real quick so it doesn't portray in the photos. It could have been said like that.
And it was
Not
like there was like like I
blatantly
had like
or
my suit pants or tux pants on the bed or something. It was like, all right, just tell me to move them. Like I can do
yeah,
whatever.
that's
But
always in the frame. Let's just put them aside or whatever. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, Anya, I heard you say that some people are good for, that, oh, I'll want to do a wedding, or they live for weddings. It sounds like you don't share that same desire
I
at
do.
all.
No, no,
I
no, no.
I have to assume it would be terrible. I mean, you might have some good ones, but um,
For me,
bridezillas are a real thing. So
it's
I don't want
actually,
to
yeah,
be
I
stepping
haven't met
on.
them. I haven't met the bridezillas though. I think, oh, people will kill me now. I think weddings are boring. There a second.
No, I don't.
Exclamation point. I think it's a happy day. For a photographer point of view, it's boring. The churches in Denmark, as I said, the weather is kind of all a lot of gray and a lot of rain. We have our moments, don't get me wrong, but the churches in Denmark are also very dark and, gothic almost. So the lighting in there are always crap. So it really pushes, you really need to know your camera, and you get one shot. That's it. You get one walk up the aisle and one ceremony. You can't do it over. You can't redo it. So no, I really don't like it. And I was a church singer for 11 years. So I've seen it all. So I've done a few weddings when people ask me directly, and if they are willing to pay me for it, then yes, I will consider doing it because I still need to make money, obviously, but I'm not doing the whole, from preparation to wedding walls thing. In Denmark, it's another tradition than you have in America. When do you do the dance?
The first
The
dance is
bride.
like the first
after. Yeah, it's after the ceremony. Before, I guess, people. Is it after people eat or before people eat their
It
dinner?
is after people eat.
I think so. And then they start to open up the dance floor. But the bride and groom, yeah, that's right. The bride and the groom get the first dance.
The regular way to go in a Danish wedding is, you usually have the ceremony in the daytime. You have some sort of small reception where people who are not invited to the party can come say hi and congrats. And then you have the dinner starting slowly, and that continues until midnight, and then you do the dance at midnight. So that means you have like a 13, 14-hour day I'm not doing that. I'm doing the previous welcome to the church, hugs for the groom, waiting for the bride, being nervous. I'm doing the reception, no, sorry, the ceremony, all the official stuff, and then when people have, thrown the rice or rose petals or bubbles or whatever, saying congrats, happy times, I pull them aside and we go for the official bride and groom photos, and then I'm off. Because people, they can book the whole thing, then they just don't need me because my back and my feet and I'm too old for that crap.
I hear you there.
No. So I will do the short version for like 4 hours. That's fine, but that's about it.
Well, I feel like
And again, I don't love it, so I don't evolve I don't, make myself better. I don't do classes. I don't practice.
Yeah, weddings are paying the bills. They might just be paying the bills. That's it. No.
For me, it is.
In here, I don't know if it's true everywhere, but at least here in America, like every wedding I've been to, it's the same thing. Essentially, like Eric and I went to one wedding in Philly that was like inside of a heart, which was cool. It was like a giant heart replica, but like other than that, like every wedding is just kind of the same thing. So yes, I feel like as a photographer, like
boring.
It sounds like more of a rager.
I think I would enjoy it more if it was in the Bahamas or the Maldives or something. Then okay, then I'll do it.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, right.
Now we're talking. That makes it fun. That I would actually love to try, but to do it in Denmark in a old, dark and dusty church with yellow light from small, no.
Mm-hmm.
But also too, I feel like the pictures from at least my wedding I've looked at 0 times. When we got the book, I looked at them and I was like, oh, this is cool. But like, I don't post a picture of me putting on a tie in my hotel room from 10 years ago.
That's because you're a guy.
Yeah, maybe.
It's true.
Maybe that's why.
You know what? It's something cool to show the kids. When they get older, it probably is. They think they'd appreciate to see that.
Getting ready for
It's probably one of those things that you'd regret not having when you're older. And
I also myself went for the videographer. And that I have never regretted because I have all the speeches. He really did cut a 7-minute video that just took everything in. But most importantly, it had that I can watch that without crying because I get so emotional because it just captured every single feeling and, the whole thing in 6 or 7 minutes. So I really treasure that video so much. And I also think if you post your photos, it will be probably like, oh, this is a 10-year anniversary thing post if you use it. And
for
me, if I were in your shoes, I would get back to that vibe of that a-hole woman. That would just, when I see the photos, that would just put me right back to the things, how she behaved.
Her. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will. We still talk about her. I mean, literally 10 years later, we'll still like, hey, do you remember how horrible of an individual she was? 10 years, like, she should have no impact.
But she is there on a very vulnerable day and a very special day.
Yep.
So obviously you're going to remember her. So what you should do is redo your vows and do it with another photographer.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
To just redo the whole thing, not the whole thing, but your way 10 years later or how many years you've been together, and just do it small or big, whatever you like, but get the photos redone.
I like that idea, Greg. This time, don't do it with the heaviest tux on a beach in Florida because
we got married.
That day,
yeah, so we'll have you come out to kind of redo it for us. We got married on a beach in Florida, and it was hot as hell. And I think Eric almost died from a heat stroke. And it was like,
I was up all night the night prior, though, drinking after the rehearsal dinner too. And then I put this tux on, and I'm sitting.
You were hungover.
A little bit.
So, it was brutal. Anja, so moving forward, like into the future, I know you said you have you have an ebook coming out. What other plans do you have?
Well, I have the ebook coming out. Yes, I'm actually contemplating because this ebook came across like on an idea, a whim, and I was like, I can write an ebook in 5 minutes. Psych. Yeah. as if, even though we have all the tools
All those
available,
tools.
stuff takes time because I'm also very perfectionist. So I really want it to be good. So I was like, okay, I will do this on one subject, but I'm like, I kind of went all over the place. So now I want to do the A to C kind of photography book, and then also split it into chapters so people can decide if they want the whole thing or just to buy the chapter on natural lights or whatever it might be, right? So I need to elaborate a little bit on that. So that I'm working on. And then I'm working on my academy part because I have my 1-day workshops in Copenhagen on different subjects such as creative beauty in the studio, colored lights, all sorts of stuff. And then I have my boot camp in Spain. So that kind of turned me in direction of teaching, which I never would have thought I would do because, as I said, I'm anti-technical. What can I teach people? I can teach people exactly that you can do this for a living even though you're not technical. Take me as proof. And then my approach is very hands-on. So I would much rather show you how it's done than tell you theoretically how it's done on a board. So I will take you in the field and show you one-on-one. This is how you do it. Go. And then I will supervise. So I will do that more. I will I'm working on this is actually still in the works, on a model boot camp. Not only photographer, but I also want to teach models on how to be models. And then I'm working on more ebooks, and also I'm working on the online thing with videos. I just shot my first ever online class, so that is fresh on the cutting board. Like, that is not even sent. Maybe I should send it to you to edit my stuff. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
Greg
thanks.
loves it, from what I've heard.
I'm a huge fan.
So we just filmed that, I think, 3 days ago, and that was on the hottest day here. And I tell you, just to stand in front of the camera for hours and hours on end, everything is running down your neckline and back, and you just have to pretend there's nothing wrong, everything is fine, sweating like hell. But it was an experience. I was actually so nervous, even though I was doing everything I know, and I love teaching, but I'm used to teaching for people standing in front of me. Now I have to look inside a camera and do that with the same energy. And what if I forget something? And I made Canva boards and get an overview to remember everything, because I don't do well with manuscripts. I will just fuck them up, really. I will give me bullet points and feed me words, and then I can talk, but don't expect me to follow a manuscript. I will just F that up so fast. But that I want to do more of. And then get more and more smaller, newer clients, fashion clients, accessories, fashion, whatever product you need shot on, both as a product photography, but mostly on a model. Send them with me to Spain and I'll do that. So yeah, that's what I wanna be here more and more. My dream is to be here like 2 months, go back 2 months, come back 2 months, so back and forth.
Get some variety.
And bring yeah, exactly. Because I am really depending. I'm really addicted to sunshine. Truly.
It's good for you. It's definitely good for you. I share your desire for sunlight.
Yes, please.
You know what I'm almost picturing? Are you familiar with Austin Powers?
I am.
Do you ever do a photo shoot that's like that? I'm sure that's for comedic purposes, where he's what's the scene where he goes, "Oh, you're a tiger, and he's directing. Is it ever that silly or over the top when you're doing shoots with a model? Never like that.
We will make fun, but not. I would never be Austin Powers seriously, but we will make fun, and also because the tone has to be light. I'm a fun, bubbly person, if you ask me, obviously. I don't like it to be serious. I like the models to feel comfortable and let's have fun with it. Because also if I do like a collaboration, we're all there for free.
we just announced a collaboration that we're doing, and Eric and I shot the promo for it. And we shot the first one after like a long day of like doing other interviews. And my wife came in and she was like, "Could you be any less enthused?" And it was like because we were just so tired, and we were like reading it like from the script, and she was like, "Yeah, you guys got to do that again."
Yeah, I said,
so then we shot it. We're like, let's just have fun with it. We're like, oh yeah, this is 1,000 times better when you're not taking you're having fun with it, and you're not just like trying to follow the teleprompter and read exactly what it says.
I've got to crack a smile and make myself seem a little silly and go a little over the top, even if that's not normally who I am. I think every single time, the reason I asked is because every single time I'm in front of a camera, I think to make it more fun, I reference that scene. I always go, "Oh, you're a tiger," and then it's funny, and then I find out who else is the Austin Powers fan in the room.
I can actually just all of a sudden, and this I did it actually today, this morning. I had like there's a famous Danish actor vacationing here, and he's been in my studio, and I wrote him like, "Why don't you come, down from your mountain and just let's do a beach shoot, like just a headshots of you in the beautiful daylight here." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm coming." So, and then all of a sudden because he kind of got a little too serious, and like, I did my worst pirate laugh ever, like, and because he wasn't prepared, he just laughed out loud. But that got me what I wanted, so I can do stuff like that. And I've also, before I became a photographer, I really wanted to learn how to instruct my models. So I started out modeling for photographers myself before getting behind the camera. And I found out what not to be. Don't be the silent type that doesn't tell people what to do. And I have actually had that presented to me for serious, like, "Look at me like you're making love to the camera." I kid you not. He said that. Oh, let me just present my studio boss.
Oh, look at that.
She's with me in Spain, and she's my boss lady.
Oh, that's cute.
Those eyes are gorgeous.
Scarlett?
Yeah, Scarlett, the diva.
Oh, she's very cute.
So she is always with me, also in the studio. She will stay home when we're out shooting outside, though. It's too hot for her.
Sure. Yeah.
That's fair.
Puppy tax.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Poppy up TikTok, poppy up Instagram.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Anja, well, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you taking the time. We're very happy that we were able to coordinate our schedules with such a different time zone to get you on.
Perfect.
And good luck on your ebook and your boot camp. And it sounds like you have a lot going on your campaigns.
Yes.
So good
Very
luck
exciting.
with all of it.
Thank you. I hope to see you soon.
Yeah, you as well. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.